Hello, everyone. Today, I want to talk about something important. I want to share my journey about how I learned English with Chatgpt. Many people want to learn English, but they feel confused about where to start. Sometimes they feel shy. Sometimes they feel afraid of making mistakes. I also felt the same way in the beginning. English looked difficult to me, and I did not know how to practice every day. But then I discovered something very helpful. I discovered ChatGPT, and it slowly became my learning partner. When I first started learning English, I had many problems. I could understand a few words, but I could not make sentences easily. When I tried to write or speak, I felt nervous. I thought my English was not good enough. Many learners feel this way. They think they must be perfect before they speak or write. But learning a language does not work like that. You learn by trying, by practicing, and sometimes by making mistakes. Chapter 1. My first step with ChatGPT. One day I decided to try something different. I opened ChatGPT and started asking simple questions in English. At first, my sentences were short and simple. Sometimes I used the wrong grammar. Sometimes my spelling was not correct. But something surprising happened. ChatGPT answered me kindly and clearly. It did not laugh at my mistakes. It helped me understand better. This made me feel comfortable and confident. I started using ChatGPT every day. I asked it to explain words. I asked it to correct my sentences. I also asked it to create small stories for me. Reading those stories helped me learn new vocabulary. The sentences were clear, and the ideas were easy to follow. Slowly, my understanding began to grow. The more I read, the more familiar English became. Another helpful thing was asking ChatGPT questions about grammar. Grammar used to confuse me. I did not understand when to use certain words or how to form sentences correctly. Instead of searching for many complicated explanations, I asked ChatGPT to explain things in simple English. When something was still difficult, I asked again. This made learning easier because I could learn at my own pace. Writing practice was another big part of my learning journey. Every day I tried to write something in English. Sometimes I wrote about my day. Sometimes I wrote about my thoughts or my plans. After writing, I asked ChatGPT to check my text. It showed me my mistakes and explained how to improve. This helped me understand my weak points. Over time, my writing became clearer and more confident. ChatGPT also helped me practice conversations. I asked it to act like a friend or a teacher. Then we had simple conversations in English. At first, the conversations were very basic. I asked simple questions and gave short answers. But little by little, my sentences became longer. I started using new words that I had learned. This practice helped me feel more comfortable using English. Reading was another important part of my routine. I often asked ChatGPT to create short stories for learners. These stories were very helpful because they use simple words and clear ideas. When I read them, I could understand most of the sentences. When I saw a new word, I asked ChatGPT to explain it. Then I tried to use that word in my own sentence. This small habit helped me build my vocabulary step by step. Sometimes I also asked ChatGPT to create exercises for me. For example, it gave me fill-in-the-blank questions, vocabulary lists, or small quizzes. These exercises helped me remember what I learned. They also made learning feel like a game instead of a difficult task. When learning becomes enjoyable, it becomes easier to stay motivated. One thing I learned during this journey is that consistency is very important. Learning English one day and then stopping for many days does not help much. But practicing a little every day makes a big difference. Even 10 or 15 minutes of practice can help you improve. ChatGPT made this easy for me because I could practice anytime I wanted. Another important lesson I learned is that mistakes are not enemies. They are teachers. Every mistake shows you something new. Instead of feeling embarrassed, I started seeing mistakes as part of the learning process. ChatGPT helped me see this clearly because it corrected my mistakes calmly and explained the correct way. Slowly, my confidence started growing. I could understand more when I read. I could write longer sentences. I could even think in English sometimes. This progress did not happen overnight. It happened step by step, day by day. Small efforts created big improvement over time. Using ChatGPT also helped me stay motivated. Whenever I felt confused or stuck, I asked a question. Whenever I needed practice, I asked for exercises. It felt like having a learning partner available all the time. This made my English journey less lonely and more enjoyable. Learning English is not just about grammar and vocabulary. It is also about confidence, patience, and practice. Tools like ChatGPT can guide you, but your effort is the most important thing. When you practice regularly and stay curious, improvement will come naturally. My journey with ChatGPT showed me that learning English can be simple and flexible. You do not always need expensive courses or complicated books. Sometimes all you need is curiosity, daily practice, and the courage to try. And this was just the beginning of my journey. Chapter 2: Building my daily English habit with ChatGPT. At first, I did not have a clear routine. Some days I practiced English for a long time. Other days I did not practice at all. This made my progress slow. I forgot many words that I had already learned. Then I decided to create a simple daily routine with ChatGPT. I did not want something difficult. I wanted something easy that I could follow every day. Every morning I started with reading. I asked ChatGPT to create a short story in simple English. These stories were usually about daily life, friendship, dreams, or small adventures. They were easy to read and interesting at the same time. When I read these stories, I learned new words naturally. I also learned how sentences were formed. When I found a word that I did not understand, I asked ChatGPT to explain it. I also asked for example sentences. Seeing a word used in different sentences helped me understand its meaning better. Then I tried to use that word in my own sentence. This simple habit helped my vocabulary grow slowly but steadily. After reading, I practiced writing. Writing was not easy for me in the beginning. My sentences were short and sometimes incorrect. But I did not stop. I wrote a few sentences every day. Sometimes I wrote about my daily routine. Sometimes I wrote about my goals, my favorite books, or something interesting that happened during the day. Once I finished writing, I asked ChatGPT to correct my text. It showed me my grammar mistakes and suggested better sentences. At first, I made many mistakes, but that was okay. Each correction helped me understand English a little better. Slowly, my writing started improving. Another important part of my routine was asking questions. Whenever I felt confused about grammar or vocabulary, I asked ChatGPT. For example, I asked about the difference between similar words. I asked how to form better sentences. I even asked why certain grammar rules existed. These small conversations helped me understand English more deeply. Speaking practice was also very important. Even though I was learning online, I still wanted to improve my speaking skills. So I started reading texts out loud. I asked ChatGPT to give me short paragraphs for speaking practice. Then I read them slowly and clearly. This helped me improve my pronunciation and confidence. Sometimes I also created imaginary conversations with ChatGPT. I asked it to act like a friend or a teacher. Then we practiced simple conversations. For example, we talked about daily activities, hobbies, food, travel, or learning goals. These conversations helped me think in English and respond more quickly. Listening practice was another useful activity. I often read ChatGPT's responses carefully and tried to imagine how the sentences would sound in real conversations. Sometimes I used other resources like videos or podcasts, but ChatGPT helped me understand difficult words from those materials. Whenever I did not understand something from a video, I asked ChatGPT to explain it in simple English. One thing that helped me a lot was repetition. When you see a word once, you may forget it. But when you see it again and again, it becomes familiar. I asked ChatGPT to create exercises with the same words that I was learning. This helped me remember them better. I also started keeping a vocabulary list. Every day I wrote down a few new words. I wrote the meaning and one example sentence for each word. Sometimes I asked ChatGPT to create more example sentences. This helped me see how the word could be used in different situations. Another habit I developed was reviewing my old work. At the end of the week, I read my old writings. I could see my mistakes and my improvements. Sometimes I asked ChatGPT to show me how to rewrite my old sentences in a better way. This review process helped me learn from my past work. There were days when I felt tired or unmotivated. Learning a language can sometimes feel slow, but I reminded myself that progress takes time. Instead of stopping completely, I practiced just a little on those days. Even 5 or 10 minutes of practice helped me stay connected with the language. ChatGPT made learning flexible and comfortable. I could practice anytime I wanted. If I had only a few minutes, I asked a quick question or learned a new word. If I had more time, I practiced reading, writing, and conversation. This flexibility made it easier to stay consistent. Another thing I learned during this time was confidence. At first, I was afraid of making mistakes. But the more I practiced, the more comfortable I became. I realized that mistakes are part of the learning process. They are not something to fear. They are something to learn from. Slowly, English started becoming part of my daily life. I thought about simple things in English. I tried to describe my surroundings in English. I even wrote small notes or reminders in English. These small changes helped me stay connected with the language throughout the day. Looking back, building a daily habit was one of the most important steps in my learning journey. ChatGPT gave me the tools, but the daily practice made the real difference. Little by little, my vocabulary grew, my grammar improved, and my confidence became stronger. And this daily routine prepared me for the next stage of my journey, where I started using English more naturally and creatively. Chapter 3: Growing Confidence and Thinking in English with ChatGPT. Confidence is very important when learning a language. Many learners know some words and grammar, but they feel shy when using them. They are afraid of making mistakes. They worry that others will laugh at them. I also felt this way in the beginning. Even when I knew the answer, I sometimes felt nervous about writing or speaking in English. ChatGPT helped me overcome this fear. One reason was that it created a safe place to practice. I could write anything without feeling embarrassed. If I made a mistake, ChatGPT corrected it kindly and clearly. This made learning feel comfortable instead of stressful. One of the first things that helped my confidence was longer writing practice. In the beginning, I wrote only 2 or 3 sentences. Later, I started writing short paragraphs. I wrote about my daily life, my hobbies, and my experiences. Sometimes I wrote about things I wanted to learn in the future. After writing, I asked ChatGPT to review my text. It corrected my grammar and suggested better sentence structures. At first, there were many corrections, but after some time, the number of mistakes slowly became smaller. Seeing this improvement made me feel proud and motivated. Another activity that helped me a lot was storytelling. I asked ChatGPT to give me a simple topic. For example, it might ask me to write about a small adventure, a childhood memory, or a dream for the future. These topics helped me use my imagination while practicing English. Storytelling is powerful because it forces you to think and express ideas. Instead of only learning words, you start using them creatively. Sometimes my stories were simple, but they helped me practice forming sentences and organizing my thoughts. During this stage, I also started focusing on thinking in English. At first, this felt very difficult. My mind always wanted to translate everything from my native language. This made speaking and writing slow and confusing. So I decided to practice thinking in English in small ways. When I saw something around me, I tried to describe it in English in my mind. For example, if I saw the sky, I might think, "The sky is clear today." If I saw a busy street, I might think, "Many people are walking and talking." These small mental exercises helped my brain become more comfortable with English. I did not need to translate every thought. Instead, I started forming simple English sentences naturally. ChatGPT helped me with this process. Sometimes I described a situation and asked if my sentence sounded natural. If it was not correct, ChatGPT explained how to improve it. This helped me learn how English is used in real situations. Another helpful practice was asking ChatGPT to create conversations. These conversations were like small role-playing exercises. For example, we practiced conversations at a restaurant, in a shop, at the airport, or when meeting a new friend. At first, my responses were short, but with practice, my answers became longer and clearer. These conversations helped me learn how people communicate in everyday life. Vocabulary also continued to grow during this stage. Instead of learning random words, I started learning words connected to topics. For example, I might learn words about travel, food, education, or technology. Learning words in groups made them easier to remember. I also asked ChatGPT for synonyms and simple explanations. This helped me understand the differences between similar words. Sometimes two words look similar but are used in different situations. Understanding these differences made my English more natural. Another interesting habit I developed was asking ChatGPT to rewrite my sentences in different ways. For example, if I wrote a simple sentence, ChatGPT might show me a more natural or more advanced version. This helped me see how English sentences can change while keeping the same meaning. Reading also became more interesting at this stage. I started reading longer passages and short articles. If something felt difficult, I asked ChatGPT to simplify the text. This made learning less frustrating and more enjoyable. Sometimes I also asked ChatGPT to ask me questions about what I read. This turned reading into an interactive activity. Instead of just reading the words, I had to think about the meaning and answer questions. Another powerful tool was reflection. At the end of each week, I looked back at my progress. I asked myself simple questions. What new words did I learn? What mistakes did I improve? What skills became easier? This reflection helped me see that progress was happening even when it felt slow. Language learning is like climbing a mountain. Sometimes the steps are small, but each step brings you closer to the top. Motivation also became easier to maintain because I could see real improvement. I could write longer texts. I could understand more when reading. I could express my ideas more clearly. These small victories gave me the energy to continue. One important lesson I learned during this stage was that learning English is not about perfection. It is about communication. The goal is not to speak perfectly every time. The goal is to share ideas and understand others. ChatGPT helped me focus on communication instead of perfection. It encouraged me to keep practicing, improving, and exploring new topics. Slowly, English started feeling less like a foreign language and more like a useful tool. I could use it to learn new things, read interesting stories, and express my thoughts. This feeling made learning exciting instead of difficult. By this point in my journey, English was becoming a natural part of my daily life. But there was still one more important step ahead. The final step was learning how to use English in real situations and continuing to grow even after reaching a comfortable level. Chapter 4. Using English in real life and continuing the journey. At this stage, I realized something important. English is not just a subject to study. It is a tool for communication. It helps you share ideas, learn new things, and connect with people around the world. This understanding changed the way I practiced English. ChatGPT continued to help me during this stage. I started using it for more practical activities. Instead of only learning vocabulary and grammar, I used English to explore topics that interested me. For example, I asked ChatGPT questions about science, technology, history, and daily life. Reading these explanations in English helped me learn both language and knowledge at the same time. Another useful practice was discussing ideas. I sometimes shared my opinions about different topics and asked ChatGPT for feedback. For example, I might write about why learning languages is important or how technology changes our lives. ChatGPT helped me improve my sentences and organize my ideas more clearly. This practice helped me develop both my language skills and my thinking skills. Writing became more natural during this stage. Instead of forcing myself to write, I started enjoying it. I wrote longer paragraphs and even small essays. Sometimes I wrote about my personal experiences. Other times I wrote about lessons I had learned in life. Writing in English helped me express my thoughts in a new way. I also continued reading regularly. Reading is one of the best ways to improve vocabulary and understanding. I asked ChatGPT to recommend simple texts or create articles about topics I liked. When I read these texts, I paid attention to how sentences were structured. This helped me learn new patterns of writing. Speaking practice was still very important. Even though ChatGPT is a text-based tool, it helped me prepare for real conversations. I practiced dialogues and role-playing situations. For example, we practiced conversations about meeting new people, asking for information, or talking about hobbies. These exercises helped me feel ready for real conversations in English. Another important lesson I learned was to stay curious. Language learning never truly ends. There are always new words, expressions, and ideas to discover. Instead of thinking that my learning journey was finished, I started seeing English as something I would keep improving throughout my life. ChatGPT also helped me stay organized. Sometimes I asked it to create weekly learning plans. These plans included reading practice, writing exercises, vocabulary review, and conversation practice. Having a simple plan helped me stay focused and consistent. During this stage, I also started helping other learners. When someone asked me how to improve their English, I shared the methods that worked for me. I told them about daily practice, reading simple texts, writing regularly, and using tools like Chatgpt for support. Teaching others helped me understand my own learning process better. Another important part of the journey was patience. Even after making progress, there were still moments when I felt confused or made mistakes. But I learned not to feel discouraged. Language learning always has ups and downs. The important thing is to keep moving forward. ChatGPT reminded me that improvement comes from consistent effort. Even small practice sessions can lead to big changes over time. Every sentence you write and every word you learn brings you one step closer to fluency. Looking back, I realized that the most powerful part of my journey was not just the tool I used. It was the habit of learning every day. ChatGPT helped guide me, answer my questions, and give me practice materials. But my curiosity and persistence were the real driving forces behind my progress. Today, English feels much more natural to me. I can read books, write messages, and share ideas more easily. I still continue learning because there is always more to discover. Language is like a growing tree. The more you care for it, the stronger it becomes. If you are learning English right now, remember that your journey is unique. Everyone learns at their own pace. Do not compare yourself with others. Focus on your own progress and celebrate every improvement, no matter how small it seems. Use the tools available to you. Ask questions, read stories, practice writing, and have conversations. Most importantly, enjoy the process of learning. When you enjoy the journey, learning becomes easier and more rewarding. Learning English with ChatGPT showed me that education can be flexible, supportive, and even fun. It showed me that with patience and daily practice, anyone can improve their language skills. So keep learning, keep practicing, and keep believing in yourself. Your English journey is just beginning, and many exciting opportunities are waiting ahead. Thank you for joining me on this story of learning and growth. Keep moving forward, and never stop learning.